Today is replace the starter. So the first thing we have to do is take the negative terminal off the battery, and then what I'll do is I'll follow the positive cable, and you see it goes underneath the manifold, and the back of the engine is right over here, so the starter will be right under this exhaust manifold over here. So we'll have to jack up the car and get it from the bottom side. Let's see, the other thing I've been doing since I got a little older these days, not so young and dumb, I put a jack stand here just in case. I'd hate to have this thing fall on me. So looking at the bottom of the car, here's the bell housing, here's the oil pan, and here's the starter. There's two bolts, one here, one right there. And then on the solenoid, there's one main cable coming from the battery and two other cables or little wires there. What I'm going to do, there's two of these wires, I'm going to label them so I know which one goes where. Probably just put a piece of masking tape on it, and that should be enough for me to remember that. So let me just get my wrench, and I'll take these two bolts out, and then we'll go after the two wires. So to remove the starter, we'll use our 9/16. Okay, here's the starter. This is what it looks like from the top. You got the two wires, and this goes to the battery. Then when the starter is in the car, this little gear here is what slams forward and goes on the flywheel and cranks it up. Then looking from the bottom, here's your two bolts that hold it in, and that's it. Okay, we went out and got another starter. We got the two bolts that are going to bolt it up. Here's where we're going to hook all the wires to. Remember, I labeled the one that goes on this side, so I always remember. I also changed the setup for I put the jack underneath the wheel first, and then just put the horse under the center. And we'll see if we have any more room. Alright, so let's get going. Okay, here's where the starter goes. Here's one bolt. Here's another one that bolts up to the block. Here's two wires that go to on either side of the solenoid. And that's the cable that comes from the battery. So what we're going to do here is lift this sort of into position, hook up all these wires, and at the last we're going to stick it in here. And there's the flywheel. The flywheel is what goes right here. So when it starts, this thing goes over, flips over, and then that connects with the flywheel. It turns the motor over. Okay, so here we've hooked up the cable from the battery. The other side is the other little cable, and now we're going to put this one on here. And see, it's got a little piece of masking tape on because I didn't want to guess which goes to which side. So we'll put that on, and then we already tightened these two bolts, so we're ready to go. That's the last thing to do, and the installation is complete. After the starter is installed, the last thing we have to do is just connect our battery. And we'll get a wrench and tighten this up so it's really tight, and that will complete the job.